likely that you're watching the replay. If you would put hashtag replay in the comments for me, let me know where you're from and that you're here. So today we are going to make an arrangement in a gold mercury glass container. And I'm going to do more of a buffet styled arrangement. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. So when you come on, please tell me hello. Tell me how you're doing today. Tell me where you're from. I do have Owen and Victoria here, so they are able to read the comments. So y'all talk to me, ask me questions as we go, and I will try to teach as we go and show you what I'm doing step by step. So I am starting out with a mercury glass container. It's kind of a fluted container. It's not very large. I wish it was larger, but it's not very large. Oh, and you're bumping a camera. So I am going to line this container, and let me tell you why. I'm going to use some foil paper, because a mercury glass container, a lot of times if I put water in here, it's going to cause the silver on the inside to start to flake away, and it'll just ruin the container. So instead of, because the mouth of this container isn't very large, I'm not going to put a dish on top. That would be ideal. I would get a much larger, showier arrangement if I did it that way. But because the mouth is not very large, I do want this to, number one, travel well. Number two, I want the flowers to last, and I don't want it to fall apart. So what I decided is, because it's not going to make as large of an arrangement as I would like, I'm going to make two of these arrangements, and we'll have arrangements side by side on the buffet. You're going to ask a question? Oh.
On YouTube, Monica says hello from Lithuania.
Hello, Monica. Welcome.
Grit and Grace, I think, is from Maryland. Says hello from Maryland.
Hello, guys. How are y'all?
Oh, and Grit and Grace says I finally made a live.
I'm so glad. Thank you for watching. So I want to tell you a little bit about foil paper. So foil paper I use a lot to line things. Back during COVID, we had a hard time getting green baskets for green plants. So we kind of went back to the old school way, and we used foil paper to wrap plants so that they wouldn't leak on the floor, and you could put a ribbon and all the things. So a lot of times we'll take this paper to line baskets so that they don't leak when you use fresh floral foam. So today I'm going to use foil paper to line this container.
Carson on TikTok says hey from North Carolina.
Welcome, Carson. So glad you're here.
We have a new follower on TikTok. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. Miss Maxine.
Thank you for following. Thank you for the follow.
Miss Maxine says hello from Fargo.
Hello.
And Miss Tracy Ann followed us on TikTok as well.
Thank you for the follows. Thank you so very much. So today what I'm going to do is, this is fresh floral foam. Now when I say fresh floral foam, a lot of people think Oasis. Oasis is a brand of fresh floral foam. So the reason I never call this Oasis is because it's not Oasis brand. It is a fresh floral foam, meaning that I can soak this foam and it will hold water. It is actually by a company called Ludwig, and it's called Thirsty Foam. And so that's the reason I never call it Oasis, but it is the same thing as Oasis. So I am taking my foil paper and I'm just kind of wrapping it around that foam, and I am going to, I think I'm going to have to trim it. So I just kind of set it on top. It's a little wide, so I am going to take my knife and I am just going to slice a little bit of that foam off, okay? Now, we have a dish in the back at our sink, and we will drop remnants of foam into that dish so that you can use it for baskets to kind of fill in gaps or what have you. But it always needs to remain in water. You don't want it to come out of water because if it dries out, it won't hold water.
Miss Tracy Ann from Florida says hello.
Hello, Tracy Ann. Thank you for being here.
On YouTube, Miss Linda Sue says good afternoon from sunny Arkansas, and Miss Diane is watching from England.
Hello, guys. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for watching. Okay, so I just pushed that foam right down into that, that container. I want it to go as deep as possible because I would like to be able to fill up that little bit of a reservoir with some water. So I'm taking my scissors and I'm going to cut this foil paper. And there he is, because he can't stand it, huh, buddy? There's Osa.
Miss Kathy Shaw says, hello everyone, when you use hydrangeas, do you only put them in quick dip when they go in wet foam, or do you use quick dip when they go in a vase of water also?
We use quick dip for all of, for fresh floral foam and for water. We just like to quick dip them for both. But I would say if you're going to choose one over the other, excuse me, I would quick dip, especially when I put it in floral foam. Okay. Oh, there it went. Okay. I could have left that a little longer, but that's good. Okay, so there's my foam, and it's sticking out probably about 2.5 inches or so. Next, what we're going to do, and I will add water in a little bit. I'm not going to worry about the water so much right this second because I can certainly add water. I'm going to cover it in with some foliage. So the foliage that I chose was, this is lemon leaf salal. And of course this cat. Silly goose. So I'm going to come in with some lemon leaf first.
Hi, Miss Linda, that's okay.
So I'm going to take my floral knife. This is one of my favorite floral knives. It's a folding knife. We actually ordered it off of Amazon, and I love it. So I'm just taking that lemon leaf salal, and I am just cutting it and tucking it right down into that foam.
Everyone's very happy to see Osa.
Our rotten boy.
Miss Tracy says the cat is sleeping on the job.
Yes, he is. He's always sleeping on the job, right in the middle of everybody and everything. This is his favorite spot to be. But usually it's on Callie's table that he's in the middle. But he loves the idea of being all the attention. He's so funny. I've never had a cat like him.
Miss Linda Juster asks, what is this for?
Miss Linda, this is going to be for a banquet. They're having a dinner party, and they're going to use this on the food table at the dinner party. Okay, so I'm going to set my salal down. Next, I'm going to come in with some silver dollar eucalyptus. So this silver dollar is a little bit of it's a smaller variety, and it's so pretty. I'm sorry, buddy. So I'm just going to take it and cut it into small pieces and come all the way around.
Asks, how are you all?
We are good. How are you, friend? Oh, somebody's calling. Sorry about that.
Don Miller wants to know if this is your vase.
This is my container. Yes, ma'am.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, I'll call him back. That's Glenn. We just shut down on TikTok going. Oh, are we back? Sorry about that. All right, so I'm just coming all the way around. Yes, Dawn, this is my container.
Miss Renee followed us on TikTok. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee.
Miss Sheila followed us on TikTok. Jean Howard says, watching you is helping me become a florist. He's learned to make a bow because of you.
Yay, I'm so glad. All right, there's our silver dollar eucalyptus. I'm going to set this down on the floor. You're so helpful, buddy. Put that knife away. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit. I'm going to wait till the end and use our seeded eucalyptus. I'm going to set this to the side. All right, next we're going to come in with some white hydrangeas. So I have pretty white hydrangeas. Now I like to leave my hydrangeas in these little sleeves. They come, hydrangeas come boxed, and they usually have a little water pack on the bottom that we cut off and drop into the buckets. But they do come with these sleeves on them. I like to leave the sleeves on because the foliage or the flowers are tender, and if they touch the side of that metal cooler, sometimes it'll blister their flowers. I did remove all of the foliage off of the hydrangea because what it's going to do is when you remove all that foliage, it helps that water just go directly to the head of the flower instead of stopping at the leaves. I'm going to take my floral knife, I'm going to cut that stem at an angle, and I'm dipping it into some Quick Dip. Quick Dip is just a hydrating solution that helps to keep that hydrangea hydrated. And you usually count till about 7.
Rachel Jenkins says hello from snowy Montana and sent us 530 stars on Facebook.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you so very much for the stars. Thank you. Thank you for your support. We appreciate that.
Miss Catherine Farrington asks, how is Miss Janice today? I've been keeping her in my prayers.
Thank you so very much. I got a message from her in the middle of the night last night. She said everything went well and she's breathing so much better. So that is wonderful. Thank you for praying for her. Thank you so much. So I'm just going all the way around with these hydrangeas. I like to use them kind of as a weight in this arrangement. It gives us a little bit of color down deep. I cut that stem at an angle, remove all that foliage, cut it at an angle. Just press it right into that foam.
Miss Janice said, Miss Janice Sloan.
Oh, well, there we go. Miss Janice, tell us how you're doing today.
She says hello from her hospital bed. She thanks everyone for their prayers. She says God certainly answered. She says, don't stop. I'm very sore, but I'm recovering, and when dismissed, I'll go to a rehab to regain my strength. I may be there a couple of weeks. God bless each of you. I love you all.
Oh, thank you, Miss Janice. I'm so glad you're here.
On YouTube, Grit and Gray says you make this look so easy.
Lots of practice. Lots of practice.
Carrie Weaver says, hello everyone, just popping in late. I'm guessing there is foam being used to hold these flowers in the container.
Yes, it is. Yes. All right, so there's our hydrangeas all the way around. Next, we're going to come in with some bells of Ireland. I've got pretty bells. So I love bells of Ireland. Bells of Ireland are such a pretty neutral line flower. So for me personally, I like to pinch the tip out of a bell. I just think it looks nicer. So I just take that and just pinch that tip right out of that bell. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle. I'm going to dip my bells of Ireland also. Bells of Ireland are not huge fans of fresh floral foam, so I'm going to dip them also, just because it'll certainly make for happier bells. I'm going to strip some of the leaves off the bottom. I guess, is a bell, would that be blooms? Because they're green like a leaf? Or would it be leaves? I guess it's blooms.
Yeah, I would think it's blooms. Rhea says you may need a step ladder.
I know, right, Rhea? I'm sorry.
Miss Linda Juster asks if you picked the colors.
It is going to be, we're using a lot of maroon and white. It is a banquet celebrating, I can't remember, 30 years of business, but they're right here in town. And he is an alum of Mississippi State, so he wanted to, they wanted us to do MSU colors.
Miss Miss Tasha followed us on TikTok. Thank you. Jean Howard says those thorns are very mean.
Yeah, they are mean. They are mean thorns. They are. They're not actually so bad right now, but sometimes they're bad.
Miss Autumn on TikTok says, my mom wanted lavender roses for her funeral.
Aww.
They also added bells of Ireland. The contrast of color was beautiful.
Isn't it beautiful? That pretty green with that pretty purple. That lavender color is so pretty together. I agree.
Aaron Ford 55 followed us.
Thanks for the follow. Thank you. I think I want one more over here. Okay, so there's our Bales of Ireland.
Thank you for following Miss Susan and Miss Alicia. Alicia just followed us as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the follows, friends. Thank you for being here. All right, so there's our Bales of Ireland, just kind of peeking out the top.
Thank you for following Miriam. And Miss Chris says it's beautiful.
Thanks so much. Thank you. All right, let's come in with a few white stock. So pretty white stock. Now, I love stock. Not everybody loves stock, but I love it. It's a little petite this week. I don't know why it's a smaller bloom, but it's a little petite. Stock has a beautiful fragrance, but it does have a bit of a wilty look. And not everybody loves the wilty look. I am taking it and dipping those stems into that quick dip.
Emmanuel on YouTube says hi from France. I don't know.
Hello, so glad you're here. Are you gonna leave? Am I bothering you? Oh no, you're just shifting. Just shifting. All right.
Alma Hooper says hello. She finally caught us live today. She says it's her lucky day.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for watching.
Ms. Gina Kilgore asks, how far from Millport are we?
So Millport is near Tuscaloosa, is that right? I think that's right. And so we are about an hour and 15 minutes from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Miss Rita followed us. Thank you, Miss Rita. And Joseph says hi. He is an event designer from Mexico. He's been there. He's been doing it for 24 years, and he says
fantastic.
He wants to congratulate you and that you're an inspiration.
Oh, thank you so very much. Thank you.
A few people are coming on and wondering what this is for.
This cat laying on my flowers.
It's for a banquet, right?
It is. It's for a banquet. They're going to do a dinner party, and so this is going to be one of the food table arrangements.
Miss Carrie Weaver on YouTube says, I love the bells giving height to the arrangement.
Isn't that pretty? Those Bales of Ireland make me so happy. Okay, there's our bales. There's our stock. Let's come in with a little bit of Safari Sunset. So you'll find in the spring, maroon is hard to come by, but maroon is our school color. So we are the home of the Mississippi State University Bulldogs, and so our colors are maroon and gray. And a lot of white. We throw in a lot of white. Maroon's hard to come by because it's more of an autumn color versus a spring color. So one of the flowers that we get very easily that is a burgundy or a maroon color is Safari Sunset. Now Safari Sunset is in the Protea family, and it's really more, it reminds you a lot of foliage. It's just a pretty foliage. And so I usually just strip off those bottom leaves, give that a good cut. Now it's a pretty hardy material, and it works really well in arrangements. We also do a whole lot of using floral paint in a burgundy color because burgundy's not so easy in the spring to come by. So we will use a lot of burgundy paint too. And I'm going to show you that technique in just a second.
Carter Holland asks if you have any weight in the bottom of the vase.
Carter, not right this second. Actually, I'm going to pull the arrangement out before I put it in the cooler, and I'm going to drop it down into, because it's pretty sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere. It's heavy enough that it's holding itself. But the reason I'm going to pull it out, because this is a fragile container, it's kind of, if it got bumped in that cooler, it's going to pop. So I'm going to actually pull the whole arrangement out and drop it in another vase for it to live in the cooler for a day or so. And then it'll go back in this vase for it to be delivered.
Grit and Grace on YouTube says she's learned so much in a short time. She's been watching your videos. You're a wonderful teacher with a wealth of knowledge. She says she struggles with big and tall arrangements. Any tips?
So the problem is that we tend to want to be too squatty. For me, that's me personally. A lot of the times, I think that I tend to want everything short like me. And so you have to kind of step out of that. Leave those stems longer. Just try to leave it as long as possible. It's just one of those things that it's hard when we, it's just, for me, it's always been a little hard for me to leave that stem long. And I don't know why. And I tell you, it's something that I've had to teach Victoria too. Leave that length on those stems. You can always cut some of the length off if it's too long, but you can never add the length back to it. So try to leave it more airy. I tend to really like to design compact and shorter. Sir, I'm going to spray some spray paint. You're not going to like it.
Mama 2 Mama 3 says this is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. So I was talking about flower paint. Now, flower paint is different than over-the-counter spray paint. You do not spray fresh flowers with hardware store spray paint, okay? Because it will damage the petals. Now, I will say that I have taken gold spray paint and dipped the tips with regular gold spray paint. Do not totally spray a fresh flower with spray paint. Now, this is fixing to scare this cat to death because he hates it. But this is a flower tool. It's made specifically for fresh flowers. You can order it on Amazon. You can order it from usually floral wholesalers will carry it. But this is called Design Master, and it's a burgundy because they don't have maroon. Now, I'm going to take red flowers. These are pretty red, but they're a deep red. And I am just going to pop it with a little bit of maroon, and that's going to pull our maroon color.
So Ricky says, hello from Las Vegas, beautiful work.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, sir.
Maria Norman says, my school colors were bottle green and red with a little bit of white. Yuck.
Yuck. And mine were black and gold like my children's. Those are my children. Victoria's were navy blue and dark green. Forest green.
And white.
Now, that's a lot of dark. I'm like, what in the world was navy blue and forest green? So I just popped it with a little bit of that burgundy paint. That's kind of taking that red away. Now, we have another college in our state that's a red and a blue. And so you have to try not to do the red because it's important that it's maroon. Okay, so I spray painted some spray roses that are so beautiful. I don't know the variety of these roses, but they're really, really pretty.
Miss Kathy says, I'm a Georgia Bulldog.
A Georgia Bulldog, that's right.
Lori Cummings says, maroon and white are our school colors of Prescott, Arkansas, home of the Curly Wolves, she says.
The Curly Wolves, interesting. Are you going to leave, sir? Thanks. So I'm just kind of turning this arrangement and popping these little spray roses all the way through.
Patricia Vaughn is watching from Chile, Montana. She says, you don't seem to measure when you cut stems, but it looks like it's the same length. Do you eyeball one and 1/2 the length of the vase? Not this container, of course.
So yes. I mean, it's more, I've just done it for so long. And sometimes I'll cut it a little too short, so I'll just put it in another place. But yeah, I think that has just come with practice. Now, a lot of times if I'm teaching a new designer, I will try to teach them by holding it up to the vase to see exactly where they want it in the container and then cutting it, at a certain length. And so a lot of mine it's just practice. I've just done it for so long. And so I don't really have to think about it. But again, sometimes I'll cut it too short and I'll have to put it in another place, but usually not too bad. Okay, so the next flower we're going to use is a heart rose. And I'm going to show you how to open up a heart rose. A lot of times in party work like this, I like to leave my roses out the night before so that they'll kind of open up, because this is for an event. And so it's nice to go ahead and leave them out and let them warm up and open up a little bit, because they're so much easier to flare if you do that. I don't often flare roses, but if you do, you want them to be at room temperature. They're much easier to handle and to open up. I'm taking my floral knife and I am running it right down the stem and removing my thorns. Now, I had somebody the other day ask, why don't you use a stripper, a thorn stripper on your roses? A lot of times I just don't want to get it out of the drawer. I find it just as easy to use my floral knife that's always in my hand to pull the thorns off. Now, the only reason I pull the thorns off is not for the life of the flower. It's for the safety of me handling the rose. And these are called heart roses. And they are just heavy. They've got lots of thorns, tons of thorns on them. And so I usually just do exactly what you see me doing here. I just run my knife right down that stem and remove any thorns that are sticking out. So I have my thorns off my roses. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire them. Now, not everybody wires roses, and that's completely okay. It's okay if you don't want to wire your roses. And a lot of times I'll have somebody say, well, if you would process those roses correctly, you wouldn't have to wire them. And I process the roses like I've always processed them. We get them in, we cut their stems at an angle, we drop them in water, we leave them in water for an hour or so, and then we put them in a cooler, and they stay on a cooler until we design them to sell them. And so I don't know any other way to process, and we add fresh floral food. But I find the reason I like to wire a rose is because it gives me an extra security that that rose is going to stay fresh. When you put a rose in fresh floral foam, sometimes they don't always get as hydrated as they need to be. And so when they get dehydrated, their stems get a little flimsy. And their heads are heavy. These roses have heavy heads. And so when that stem gets flimsy, that head will want to dip. It'll want to dip down. This rose is just added insurance. I mean, my words won't come. This wire is just added insurance that that head is going to stay upright. So I'm just taking each of those wires and I'm sticking it in the calyx. So the calyx is the little swollen part right up underneath that rose head. I'm just pressing it in there and going all the way around that stem with that wire.
Cam, I can't go back to see your message, but he said he got two new dogs.
Oh!
Ms. Kermit, or maybe this is Mr. Kermit. Mr. Kermit says, ma'am, you're doing something right. These past 15 minutes have become free therapy for him.
Well, there you go. I'm so thankful.
And thank you for following as well, Kermit.
So sometimes, I'm going to show you right here, you can see how it's kind of a little brown spot in this rose. Sometimes they pack these roses in cardboard and they're packed really tightly. A bundle of roses, you get 25 stems in a bundle. And what happens is when they pack them in that cardboard, water might drip down into those roses. Guys, give us just a second over on YouTube. There we went. We got some light back. Sometimes water will drip down into those petals and it'll leave a water spot and it'll decay. So all you have to do is kind of peel back and get the bad spot out of the rose, and usually they're okay. Now, Always check and make sure it's a sturdy rose and it's not going to fall apart. But usually, it's usually not a problem whatsoever to pull that off. Now, I'm going to take my burgundy spray paint and I'm going to pop them just a little bit with some burgundy spray paint. Now, this heart rose is a very large petal count. So, it has lots of petals. So, when it opens the size of my hand. It gets to be a really big, beautiful rose. But I'm going to pop it with a little bit of maroon. Now these are a deep red. It's not a bright red like a Freedom Rose is. And so it's nice for Mississippi State. It works really well.
Miss Sharon on TikTok says, "Hi, I'm new here. Are those heart roses?"
They are heart roses. That's my favorite variety. I don't hardly order any other variety except a heart. And we keep these on a standing so that we get them every week.
Miss Moana on YouTube says, "OMG, finally get a chance to watch you guys live. Hello." She's a huge fan.
I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome, friend. So glad you're here.
And thank you for following on TikTok, Miss Sharon.
Thanks, Cam. He pulled that message back up.
Oh, did he?
But he said he apologizes for not being here much. He says he just got 2 new fur babies, German Shepherd mix. He's so excited. One is named Natalia Simone and the other is Olivia Sage.
Well, honey, you are going to have lots of hair in your life from now on. Lots and lots of hair. Those are beautiful names. Congratulations.
Carl Garrison says, beautiful arrangement. Adoption was final yesterday.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
Miss Tori asks, how long does that bouquet last on average?
So this bouquet, as long as it's well watered, it will last days. I would say 5 to 6 days. Sometimes longer, just depending on how well it was cared for.
Miss Kathy asks, when the roses open up, will it be two-toned?
A little bit. Not really too bad, though. They will have the darker tips, but they won't be too terribly two-toned. You're not going to notice very, very much. I did not spray that one, so I'll refill it.
Miss Wanda says she made it to a live finally.
Yay, Wanda. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, so there's our flowers in place. Next, I'm going to come in. I have this fun, these are Croton leaves.
Miss Sally says, "Good morning. Happy to catch you live."
Hello, Sally. Thank you for being here. So these are Croton leaves. But I don't know that I love that point. The points are a little strange to me. So I don't know. Should I leave that point? I'm going to trim them up just a little bit to give us a little more stem.
Miss Autumn says she has 2 Shih Tzu Bichons, Bichons. I don't know how to pronounce that. But she has 2 boy dogs that are a mix, and she says they do not shed.
They do not shed. That's what I'm looking for next time. I have a Chihuahua that sheds enough for an army.
Miss Linda Juster asks, how much would this cost?
Miss Linda, I have not even added it up. I'm thinking, I have no idea. I have to add it up.
They're all saying it's beautiful.
Thank you, thank you. So with these Croton leaves, they don't have very long stems. So let me show you how to extend the stem so it still has a water source. So I'm going to take and trim some of this leaf up. So you can take scissors or you can use your knife. But I'm just trimming up that leaf just a little bit so that it extends the stem. So now you can see I've got more stem to stick into the floral foam.
Thank you for following, Veronica.
So we got these leaves came in just a mixed box. And it came with aspidistra leaves and the Croton. But I loved that it has some of the pretty reds and greens, a little bit of yellow. But anytime you need a stem to be a little bit longer, you can always trim up the bottom of that leaf, especially when you're tucking it into an arrangement like this. So I just trimmed that stem.
KMD Florist and Gift House says hello from Maine. They're an event florist and they say it's beautiful.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you. So glad you're here. Okay, so next, the last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of eucalyptus. Now, earlier I made an arrangement which was for one of the tables, like a dinner table arrangement. Let me drop those back in the vase. And so I took, because we're using the gold containers, I took the seeded eucalyptus and I painted some of it. I'm not going to paint this, but you can. Now, when you're painting foliage, you can absolutely paint your foliage with store-bought paint. It doesn't have to be flower paint when you're painting your foliage.
Miss Good says hi from Hazelhurst, Mississippi.
Hello, friend. Welcome.
Miss Shirley Seagrass says that this arrangement is so very beautiful, especially like the Bells of Ireland and the gorgeous container.
Thank you, Miss Shirley. We got your wreath in the mail. It went out yesterday, so we are so excited. Let us know when you get it.
And if any of you are interested in us making you a wreath, you can send us a message on Facebook.
Absolutely. We are happy to make...
We've had quite a few go out since we said we'd do them, so...
Yeah, we are happy to make a wreath especially for you, made to order. So you just let us know what you've got in mind, and we're happy to make that.
Miss Good says she works at the Flower Gallery and Gifts in Mississippi, and
Really?
that they love you. So.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, guys. Sometimes I find it hard to cut foliage with a knife. So I actually use those scissors to cut that off.
Grit and Grace says, how long have you been a florist for?
A really long time. I started in the floral industry in 1996. How many years is that, Owen?
28.
How many years, Victoria? A long time.
27, 28 years old.
A long time. My whole life. All right, there's our seeded eucalyptus, and that is one of the dinner table arrangements. I am going to make 2 of these to place on the buffet table. And then we've got 8 centerpieces in the same color scheme. I may even take and paint a little bit of curly willow and come with curly willow out the top because it is celebrating a man, and I love that the curly willow looks so pretty and masculine. But we'll tuck some curly willow, and I'm going to pop it with a little bit of gold, I think, to kind of match this container. But the container is really pretty sturdy. I don't think there should be any problem with weighting the base of the container. It should not topple at all. It's a pretty sturdy table that it will go on. Now, the flowers that we used in this container include white hydrangeas. I used the large white hydrangeas. Now, here at Flowers by the Bunch, I love a white hydrangea, and it's just because it's very easy to paint. I can always use floral paint and make a white hydrangea any color in the rainbow that it needs to be. So I tend to always have white hydrangeas in our cooler. We used green bells of Ireland. We used white stock. Both of those would be considered line flowers. For my maroon, I used Safari Sunset, which is kind of that burgundy foliage looking flower, really kind of fun and masculine. We used a red spray rose that I painted with burgundy spray paint, and we used a red heart rose that comes real deep colored anyway. Now, the foliage that we used included seeded eucalyptus, silver dollar eucalyptus, salal, lemon leaf salal, and some fun Croton leaves, which are kind of fun and different. But really pretty, really fun. I'll pop some curly willow in it, and I think it'll be lovely for this dinner party.
Chastity, this is our own container, right?
Yes, this container belongs to me. I actually have 3 of them, but I do think 2 will be plenty on this table. My mind first, I thought that we could use the 3 containers and I could put a platform on top and then arrange flowers on that. But this is going to be so much easier because I didn't have to arrange this on site. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing worse than making a good mess on site and then having to clean it up. And I only have a little, about an hour window on Thursday to deliver, so I felt like it would be better to go ahead and design them here at the shop and then deliver it pre-made.
Miss Linda Jester asks, what is curly willow?
Curly willow is curly willow is a tree. It's just like, it has curly branches, and most often we get it without leaves on it. So it's just curly willow tips is what it's called, because it's not really long. But it's just kind of a fun little curly branch that I'm going to add to it. And again, I think I'll paint them gold because I was going to paint them for the centerpieces, and it just gives it a little bit of whimsy.
Good to go.
Are we good to go? Guys, thank y'all so much for being. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up or a heart, and that will let us know that you enjoyed the video. If you have not followed us on all the other platforms, we are on TikTok, we're on Facebook, we are on YouTube, and we are on Instagram. I'm not so big on Instagram, we're working on that. But I would love to have you join us on all the platforms. We will be live in the morning on Facebook. We go live mostly on Facebook. So if you want to see us, we're live every single day on Facebook. So y'all join us on Facebook. I will be live in the morning at 8 o'clock to do a devotion. So I'd love for any of you to join us there. And then we'll go live tomorrow afternoon making another pretty arrangement. Guys,